Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morgan, North Motor City Badmouth. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. This is how we're going to get things started off on a Monday night. Have a great show lined up ahead. The title, Does Trevor Bauer Deserve Another Shot at MLB? Well, D. Lowe's had a good idea, too. Would have been, Does Trevor Bauer Deserve Another Swing in MLB? Basically the same idea, but D. Lowe's, I have no problem with that. I think it is pretty good. So that's why I wanted to mention it right off the get-go. But that said, let me introduce, we're going to talk about the Angels, the Maple Leafs. We're going to talk about a great gesture by the Los Angeles Dodgers. And, of course, we're going to lead off with Trevor Bauer. Just want to go ahead and mention D. Lowe's is in here earlier. Great stuff, okay? And see, look at it. D-Lowe's is supporting you, Mark. That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, we had a bunch of dudes who follow our Monday night show on the OSP last week. We're getting ready to rock another one tomorrow night, man. We got some stuff going down tomorrow night.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Again, the whole objective is make sure that everything is all growing, and that's exactly what the whole purpose is. We try to do things with good taste. Well, you know, the crew, obviously, we got Mark the Barber, George Eichhorn, and Trent Clark. Book leading winning teams. Okay, that's my eyeglasses. So I have a eye appointment. Great stuff. I really need to tell them this. But it is what it is. All right, well, let's get it going. Should a team pay Trevor Bauer the league minimum and a small incentive based on contract to return to MLB? You know what? Everybody knows that we all know the story. Trevor Bauer has been out of Major League Baseball for the last couple of years due to some irresponsible behavior, putting it lightly, towards women. A lot of those cases that were involved were justifiable. Some of these women actually made them up. You also wonder about money grabs. So, you know what? I'll preface all that and let my commentators go ahead and opinionate on that. So, all right, Joshua Dorr. Well, I knew you'd have a strong comment on this one, but this one is definitely in good taste. Bauer does not deserve another chance. He's a bum. All right, that's fair, Joshua. Now we'll get Mark's perspective of that.
Okay. There have been plenty of guys who've come through professional sports that have done a lot of bad things, and a lot of them get a second chance. This guy was ostracized, even though they found out that the girl who set him up literally did this on purpose. She texted her friend. They tracked down the text. They proved it. You know, I think he's getting ostracized for the wrong reasons. At least let him have a shot at somebody with somebody in spring training on a low-level contract. See what he brings to the table. If he fits your team, if his character's good enough. I never heard anything about his character per se in terms of with the team. I never heard he was a bad player. You know, I understand what you're saying, Josh, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, we've all made mistakes in life. And I don't know. I think he deserves at least an opportunity based on the fact that he was exonerated over the long haul, and he did well when he pitched in Asia.
Yeah, his agent, Rachel Luba, has done a really nice job getting him at least into Japan so he could continue to play ball there. And he also did a good job in Mexico. So yeah. I'm right on target with you. And we know Joshua certainly isn't shy to express his opinion. He feels he's a low life and a pure scum. But Joshua, let me ask you a question to be fair. If you made a mistake, do you feel that you deserve a second chance? And please answer that honestly, or if I know you'll find a way to go ahead and mention it during a FaceTime call. Either way, yeah, he is. I have no problem with that. He's online. I have no problem with Joshua. But, you know, based on Trevor's track record, I can see where this is a controversial topic that could go either direction. All right, Trent, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's, unfortunately, media time, guilty until proven innocent, right? And he got caught up in the wave. My guess is that his character probably maybe had contributed to that in some way. I think Trevor's done a really good job of doing some right things, right? First of all, he got the case. He fought it. He could have settled, and he said, hey, I didn't do this, and so he fought it. I think that's drawing a line in the sand. I don't think that's stupid. I think having a female agent's brilliant. he's basically saying like, hey, I have not a problem with women. I work with them all the time. My agent's a woman. I think that's bright. I think one of the things about pro athletics is like, hey, man, this is not the church choir. This is about athletes that can play the sport. We've seen it at every level. I think character does matter, but people come back from, I mean, the NFL is starring right now with convicted, domestic violence abusers, a lot of things going on in that league. And if guys can play, they come back, right? NBA too. John Moran is not exactly a character guy based on some of the things he's been charged with. He did pistol whip a 16-year-old, and settled the case, and he's back making dunks from all over the place, he's an amazing athlete. And so the thing about Trevor, I think he's gone for redemption. I also think he's reached out to the people and got involved. He has really stepped up his game on social media, and he brings a big presence. And I think for an organization, all of a sudden they bring a whole nother fan level that Trevor Bauer brings with them that your club may not have. So you're a small market team like a Devil Rays or someone like that. Bauer might be good for another 40, 50,000, maybe even 500,000 fans if he plays his cards right.
Great points, Trent. And by the way, Deshaun Watson, I wouldn't classify him as a very true character person. This guy, if anybody has squandered opportunities, now he's not his play is not performing well either.
He still got, what did he get? 150 guaranteed?
No, 230.
230 guaranteed?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Someone, I know hindsight's 2020, but someone may have erred.
Well, he went to Cleveland. When you're desperate to try to find a quarterback, you're certainly going to make every attempt to do that. Unfortunately, the situation with Deshaun Watson in Cleveland has not gone very well, to say the least. All right, George has been waiting patiently to comment on it. The wait's over, George. Some thoughts?
Well, the way I understand it, the suspension won't end until maybe 1 month into the 2025 season. Is that true?
I thought it was lifted already because he put himself on the market last year. He did a private workout for.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take your word for it on that. I do think that he does deserve a chance, but it's going to be up to Major League Baseball to prove any other team being able to try to talk to him or trying to at least get him into training camp. I don't know who that team might be. I don't think it's going to be LA, but I do know that he could possibly have some value to a team that needs pitching, provided he can even play at that top level. You got to remember, he was a fierce competitor, of course, and he's at a top level as far as a pitcher goes. But now years have gone by, and unfortunately, you lose a lot. And I'm sure he's doing all the things like throwing on the side and keeping in good shape and all that. That's not what I'm worried about. But the grind of every day and every fourth, fifth, sixth day, whatever that you're going to pitch. Does he still have it left in him? That I don't know. But any team taking a chance on him, I think obviously it is going to have to be something that the commissioner's office is going to make a comment on or two, and I don't even know where they are on that point. But I do believe this, like you guys said, does he deserve another chance? I think he does, in light of the fact that these charges were dropped by the prosecuting office, and that there's questioning about whether it actually happened, at least on the basis that the lady said happened. I do believe he should get a second chance, though.
Well, like McGuire, Bonds, they're coaching now. They are admitted steroid users, denied forever, now proven guilty, and yet still coaching in MLB. I guess they're not playing, quote unquote, but coaching contracts are Players Association contracts. So, I guess, there's precedent here. This is a little bit of a gray line. I don't know what a potential issue is with Trevor Bauer coming back and getting a job.
I think he got blackballed personally. George, don't forget, this guy's been playing in Asia for years now.
Yeah.
He's played in Asia. So in terms of him having the wherewithal to come back to MLB, I think he would. I think he'd be able to, he'd be be able to endure. I think he's a number 3 or number 4 now on a team. I don't think he's a 1 or 2 like he was with the Indians back in the day. But I have a problem with guys getting ostracized when they're proven innocent at the end of the day. I get things with some of these guys in the NFL. Ray Rice, prime example. We saw it on video. There's no gray area there. Ray
He
Rice
got back in the league, by the way. He did get back in the league later.
For who?
Well, and so did who's the star right now for the Chiefs? My man from the Toledo Rockets. Same thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I just when you are proven innocent because your name has been slandered, you deserve an opportunity. And he doesn't need to be the marquee guy. He just needs an opportunity.
Well, the only thing I'm going to say about this thing is don't sell Japanese baseball short.
Oh, I'm not.
No, I didn't say you did. I'm backing you, actually, Mark.
Okay.
I am. I'm backing you. Don't sell Japanese baseball short. Don't sell Mexican baseball short either. You think that both of those two countries have produced some unbelievable players. I mean, yeah, you're right. Barry Bonds, was not one of those guys, a clean cut individual either. Bonds and Mark McGwire, they owned it, and they're still in the game. So if he's a third or fourth man on that rotation, so what?
Yeah.
So what? If you're in the starting year rotation, you're good enough to be in it. So that's all you need. I mean, look, nowadays we're looking at pitching where you got bullpen days here, right? Starters and all that. Seriously?
Yep.
Really? So third or fourth man in the rotation, give the Detroit Tigers a third or fourth man in the rotation, and that would work for me. I mean, or anything else. The Marlins, what do they got to lose by bringing him in? They can afford him.
Yeah.
I know they can. Now, how many people they're going to draw, I don't know. Remains to be seen. But I wouldn't sell Mexican baseball short. I wouldn't sell Japanese baseball short. It'd be different if he went to another place that isn't big on baseball. And then the other one is Korea. Although he wasn't playing in there, I think the 3 best international situations you have are Korea, Mexico, and Japan. That's what I think. So, sure, I think he deserves another chance. I mean, Barry Bonds, this guy, to me, doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. I still don't think he does. And you know what? The Baseball Writers and we're going to be talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame and ballots in future shows. I just felt like there were certain things I wanted to get out in the forefront since we're beginning the Hot Stove League. So with that said, great discussion by every one of you. It really is. And I appreciate some of the comments by Joshua Jordan D. Lowe's as well. They send him back to the minors. So what? If he has to start in the minors, it wouldn't be the worst thing. I know Joshua Dorr has it in for Trevor Bauer. Okay, well, whatever. I mean, but we'll find out if he ultimately gets back or not. We'll talk about one more thing. Then we're going to go to a station break. Chris Sale is the first left-handed pitcher in Atlanta Braves history with 200 Ks in a season. You're talking about a lot of great pitchers there. And Chris Sale is the first one to get 200 strikeouts. I'll go back to you, Barbara.
All right. His numbers are phenomenal if you look at the course of his career. And what is he, about 34? Somewhere in that ballpark? So I was looking at his numbers. He came in with the White Sox in 2010, with the Braves now, 2024. 8-time All-Star, World Series champion, triple crown winner. Okay. Major League Baseball first team, Gold Glove winner, nationally comeback to the Player of the Year this year because he had all those injuries. And, he was the wins leader as well, on top of winning the strikeout title 3 times. So this guy he's an amazing pitcher. And at the end of the day, it's hard to believe it. If I saw him pitch in person in a minor league game, and I'm looking at this dude, and I'm like, wow, what a string bean. I mean, I bet he wears size 28 pants. It was unbelievable. And then I watched him pitch. I watched his delivery, and I saw how far he got to the plate, and I started thinking mini Randy Johnson with everything he did. That's why he's had that success. He has that long reach, and he can deliver the ball, and it's hard to pick that thing up when you're coming that close, to the plate. So, what a remarkable thing for him.
Some thoughts, Trent.
Yeah, man. I like he's just been a mark of consistency. I mean, minus the injuries, like this guy, all he does is win, right? I mean, this guy's legit all around. And by the way, like I was shocked to hear that with the Braves when I was thinking in their heyday with when they had righty Maddox, but then they had Glavine in the 2-hole and Stevie Avery in the 3-hole. Those are two pretty freaking good lefties at back-to-back days, and you're like going, man, you got Glavine, who's crafty, not a strikeout guy, so that didn't surprise me that he's not a 200. He's a sinker ball guy, gets a lot of ground balls. But Steve Avery was a power guy. I came up in high school through him. He's a Michigan kid. And, Taylor Kennedy, a little shout out to TK High School right there. And, man, 6'3", 6'4" kid with, 95, 96 from the left side with a bunch of movement. Like, this guy could get plenty of strikeouts. I was shocked that no one had hit 200 from the left side for the Braves, as good as those years were when they were in their heyday in the mid-90s.
I like D-Lo's comment. It is an ugly sweater season, yet take out the bull sweater. Ha ha, go Knights. Well, D-Lo's, I can appreciate that. UCF people aren't supposed to like USF Bulls. I get it. But you'll understand the explanation, D-Lo's, as to why I have it on later in the show. I think Joshua Dorr doesn't know that this is Monday night, not Thursday when we do hockey, but I'll go ahead and remind him of that as politely as I possibly can. All right. So, George?
7 Cy Young Award winners the Atlanta Braves have had. And folks, you can make it number 8. There's no question in my mind that he's going to take home the National League Cy Young Award. I mean, Chris Sale is just a dynamic guy, a great pitcher. And I, too, was caught off guard by that as far as the strikeouts that you mentioned, Scott, over 200. But look, he's racking up the hardware. He won the Gold Glove for pitching. He was named to the National MLB All First Team. And, of course, he got Comeback Player of the Year award already. So the last one to check the box would be the Cy Young, as I anticipate him winning that. I've always respected him. I mean, the teams that he's been on, especially when he was a Red Sox player, I really, really enjoyed watching him pitch, even though he beat the heck out of the Tigers like so many other teams did. But Chris Sale, I got a lot of respect for him. He's still got great, great stuff. And I'm happy for him. I think this has been just a breakout year. Obviously, coming back like he did with Gangbusters. He did so good this year.
Back to the chat room. It's all fun, Scotty D-Lo's. Oh, of course it is. I have no problem. And Joshua, I'm lighting up. Look at my hat. It's a beige hat today. I got it all lighting up. To go with the Bulls hat. It's okay, Joshua Dorr. I like to kibitz with him about hockey being on Thursday. Of course, we have a good guy that works with me, Rod Peterson. And, of course, Mark went ahead and made his cameo appearance recently. So, as far as Chris Sale, it is a good story. You look at all the pitching that Atlanta's had with Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, and all these guys, and to see that this guy, Chris Sale, has 200 K, left-handed pitcher is really, really surreal. So, anytime you have a guy, yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, did he has 2,414 strikeouts? He's almost at Hall of Fame level with 3,000 strikeouts. That's how far he is.
And for me, he looks like he's got 7 years, 8 years left in him. Like, why? Yeah. Like, he doesn't. He's making it look easy every 5 days, and I'm like going like, hey man, like, who wouldn't put this guy on a long term right now? Like, I don't care what his age is. He might. The way he makes it look so easy, man, I wouldn't put it past this guy to be like kind of that Nolan age, get up there and all of a sudden he's just throwing at 44, getting his strikeouts and, just dealing them up, carving them up and doing his thing because he's that good.
You know what? Joshua Dorr makes a really good point, and I'm going to mention this to you guys. Josh Beckett was a heck of a pitcher in his days, wasn't he? You talk about a very dominant guy. Good one, Joshua Dorr. Josh Beckett, to me, when he was on, this guy was really, truly on. Great point, Josh. So, but Josh Beckett, Tom Glavine, you go back and look at, to me, some of the history in that Braves organization and think that Chris Sale has done something that nobody's ever done. That's unbelievable. But to get to one last quick thing, real quick, and then we'll go to Candy. The LA Angels called up pitcher Sam Aldighieri, and he is the first pitcher born and raised in Italy to play in the majors. We had a topic like this a couple of weeks ago. So I always like to find out when you have a player from a different country, and this personifies exactly one of the things we talk about America's pastime, as well as it being a world game. So, all right, back to you, Barbara. What are your thoughts about Sam getting his opportunity to play in the big leagues?
Hey, he's a Bison. I'm excited for the kid. He's a Bison. There have been 8 native Italians that have played in MLB, and currently there are 20 different nations represented in Major League Baseball.
But he was the first pitcher, mind you. There are probably other pitchers.
Yep. I we've opened Major League Baseball up to so many different countries. I just think it's a great thing that we're discovering people from all over the place. I will say this much, though. It does hurt the game at the youth level. And you're looking at me and you're saying, what do you mean? Well, a lot of these guys don't know who those guys are. They don't know a lot of those guys until they make the bigs. Whereas, it's a different story. And that's the only problem with it to me.
Yeah, Joshua Dorr says Josh Beckett sat in front of me at a Panthers game earlier. Well, more power to it. Definitely got your money's worth for paying for that seat. So some thoughts about Josh Beckett. I tell you what, not only Josh Beckett. Let's talk about the Angels guy. I got a little off track here. Italy's first pitcher. Other players have gone out there. Why not find talent anywhere, right, Trent?
Yeah, I think the World Baseball Council and the annual tournament, I think, has changed. Or it's not annual. I think it's every 2 years or something. And I think that's a really interesting dynamic. You've seen a bunch of MLB players who are going back to their heritage because they can't make the U.S. team or they can't make their Puerto Rican team or whatever team they're going to play for, right? And so it's interesting to see guys playing because they're Dutch or whatever. I think that's awesome. Makes for a lot of fun, not just for the Olympics, which is cool. And really neat. I mean, I know Italy competed very well on the world stage a few years back. Yeah. And so it's impressive to see that they got some depth there that's happening. Really cool that you have your first pitcher born out of Italy. I don't think that's going to stop. What I hope is that we're not getting gimmicky. What I hope is that we're not, reaching for headlines and clickbait because we're like, oh, hey, we just find the first clown out of, Ringling Brothers to go get at bats, kind of the Bill Veeck style, right? Like, I want to make sure because the Angels are horrible that, they're just not going for clickbait because they're not going to finish over 500 again. And, it's just awful. So I know they got to reach their fans. I know they got to get something. I don't think there's a lot of Italians living in Southern California, probably as many as there's other nation representation there. But, something to get excited about for sure, that you see this is a world game and the world stage is fun. And Scott, you mentioned, I have not seen the influx of Koreans in the league. But right. Korea is baseball lovers, man. They love the game. And I don't think it's but a matter of time before you start seeing ball players that'll hit that league.
Well, let me tell you this, though. Great points all the way around. I saw the United States play Korea in the 1984 Olympics at Dodger Stadium. That was my only time I was out there for the Olympics. My cousin Terry, late cousin Terry, let me stay in this place. I was there for a week. It was unbelievable. Let me tell you, I watched a Korean baseball organization during COVID-19, and I thought they play a good brand of baseball. But you're right. Another point, too, is the World Baseball Classic is great. Miami loves it because that's one of the ways they can build Lone Depot Park. I understand that Lone Depot Park will attract a lot of great international players. They really will. I look at those attendances of 35,000, 36,000. It's just too bad up to this point the Marlins haven't been consistent enough to attract numbers on a regular basis. But as far as an international market is concerned, Miami's definitely it. George, some thoughts about.
Well, before we go to George, one of the things about the World Baseball Classic was, this was going to be dominated by the Americans. And that simply has not happened, right? Like that was going to be like, oh, why are we even? Who's playing for second? Because the U.S. is in it. Well, that's not the way that thing's gone in any way. Would anyone argue with that?
No, I agree wholeheartedly.
How do you argue with that when you know you got Japan out there in it every year?
Yeah.
We all talk about Japan being a monster in international baseball. Don't believe me. Just all you have to do is look at the Little League World Series too. They're great there. All those Asian countries are good in there. But no, great points. I love it when you bring up the World Baseball Classic. That's one of Bud Selig's best moves that
Well,
he's ever had.
as far as this Samuel goes, I wish him well, but he's got to work his tail off too, because it's not a given. I mean, you know, and I don't think the Angels are doing it just because of his nationality. I think they're giving him a fair shot. They must have had good reports on him and good scouting on him. I just can't believe he's the first. What would you say, Scott? Starting pitcher of Italian descent?
First pitcher.
First pitcher of any kind. Wow. Well, I mean, you know, come on. This is the 21st century. We have to get out of the habit of saying the first this, first that. But this one's really stands out because the folks from Italy came over to the United States, as you guys know, and worked their tails off, whatever job occupation they had. But I know they love baseball too. Like you guys said, they've demonstrated that at the Olympic level, at the World Classic level. I'm happy for him, but again, he's going to have to, prove that he belongs, and it belongs to stay. I mean, on the big league roster, and hopefully, I wish him well though.
Yeah, but the bottom up. All right, go ahead, Trent.
I don't think we should be surprised. I mean, the Italian immigrants' kids have dominated Major League Baseball, right? Like they came here, started playing the game as kids of their parents who came over, and they've done very well in that league. But you know, I don't know what Little League's like in Italy. I didn't think it's their first sport, so it's really fun to see a kid who's born there, who was raised up there, and then has come over to. I think that's pretty awesome.
Maybe his dad knows a guy. Because every Italian knows a guy.
Yeah, I know a guy. Hey, I know a guy. I got a guy.
Well, let me point this out. I don't think the Angels are doing anything for clickbait. Number one, they're simply bad. They can get help anywhere they can get it. I don't care.
Anywhere you can get it.
If you can get it in Iceland, they're going to do it. Okay?
Get it.
Get it. Australia. I did a great interview with a guy by the name of Andrew Graham. I think George knows familiar with it in the Tiger system that comes from Australia. When I was up in Daytona Beach when the Lakeland Flying Tigers are there. Great guy. I enjoy it. Look forward to seeing him again. So you get to, but no, I wish Sam well. I really do. If an Italian player can help the Angels get it fixed, more power to him. I mean, I know Ron Washington's a good manager, and I give him credit for trying to take on that challenge, but hey, get help anywhere. But we don't need help right now. We need Candy Epling after Trent goes ahead and makes his
quick shout out. You mentioned Australian baseball. A little name drop on Jimmy Bennett. Jimmy Bennett, longtime pitching coach in the player development leagues. Worked a ton with Australia. I watched him do a bunch of social working with the Australian national team. That country's gaga about that national team, and they are super excited behind them. The support was massive. The numbers that are coming out to watch baseball are really staggering. Another country, right? Motor City that will be a comer. I mean, the climate fits, man. They'll be a comer before long. You're gonna start seeing more Australians in the league.
Well, all right, let's go to D. Lowe's comment. Look at Anthony Rizzo. He has to be the son of an Italian immigrant. Thank you very much for validating our point, D. Lowe's. Appreciate it. Now I turn over to Candy.
You are listening to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. If you have not hit that red subscribe button yet, please do so. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange and Thursday night on Fire Up. You'll never know what we're going to be talking about, so tune in. But on Fire Up Florida, typically on Thursday nights, we talk hockey. Also on Wednesday on nofilter.net, Scott, George, and Jeremy talk Motor City Mad Mouse show, typically about the Motor City. We also have podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. But the thing that the South Florida Tribune Publishing Company did We published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by your host, Scott the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. And the foreword was written by none other than George Eichhorn. It's a great book, great read, great foreword, great writing. You got to get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Apple and Google Books. Audio is coming. You never know. Watch for details. But get your copy today. It's a great gift idea. It is also, there's a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, call Scott 954-304-4941. If you want to be on a show or have some show ideas, email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
Hey, Candy. All right, Eric Katz, thanks for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you next Monday night. Yes, Italy, they've got some players. All right, 2 more topics to go, and then we're going to have everybody have a parting shot. Get this, the Toronto Maple Leafs gifted Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the number 27, his own hockey jersey after a wholesale interaction with a fan. Let me tell you, if that isn't a Toronto reference where we want to keep you, and the Maple Leafs like you, and they're giving you a jersey, that's a good sales job to say in Toronto. And there's a little hockey topic there for you, Joshua, about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. getting a Maple Leafs jersey. Let me tell you, say what you want that they haven't won a title in ages, but a Maple Leaf jersey, original 6 at that particular area, is unbelievable. So what are your thoughts about the gesture that Guerrero did that reciprocated it from the Toronto Maple Leafs? You know, the Toronto Blue Jay star, I'm sure that they'd like to keep him long term, and if he wants to stay there, he'll be a national hero, Mark.
You know, you got to tie all your major sports together in your city. And I think that's an awesome gesture because he's the face of baseball in Toronto. And what more could the people want than to see the face of baseball tied in with, you know, the city's main team for years and years and years. I just think that's a wonderful thing. And I'm sure he attends games, and I'm sure he is awesome with the fans when he's there. I mean, I was at the Pirates game yesterday, or not the Pirates game. I was at the Steelers game yesterday. And I don't go to Pirate games. Sorry. I was at the Steelers game yesterday, and a bunch of the Penguins were there, and they were awesome with the fans. And Paul Skeens and Livy Dunn were there. So right. You know, you want those, you want that from your city players. You know, they need to feel like they're part of the community, and that's a great way to do it.
Excellent point. Okay, Trent.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Vladdy, the Guerreros hail from the Dominican Republic. I think Vladdy Jr. probably grew up in the States, Montreal. Like, I don't know when he was born on seniors tour through the MLB, but, you know, it's not like hockey's a big thing in the Dominican. So it's really cool when you see hometown athletes, you know, that culture gap and crossing over. Now we're seeing it with the MLS and Major League Soccer, and people are getting involved. And I just think that's good fun, man. Pro athletes. And one of the things that I know organizations have struggled with is bringing in the Alumni Association and actually seeing alumni interact across sports. So the NHL alumni doesn't really interact with the NFL alumni or MLB alumni or NBA alumni, and that's something I'd love to see change. And I think it's gonna change because the players are getting more involved while they're playing with these other teams. And of course, you know, it's always big in Detroit, George, where we had all the Detroit Tigers were interacting with the Red Wings because Ilitch owned both teams. And so there was a lot of Red Wings coming out to important Tiger games. And, you know, at the playoffs, you were going to sure see Gibby and Trammell and all those guys in a box and supporting the Red Wings. They loved it.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay, George.
Boy, that's a great transition. Oh, man. The only thing that surprises me, though, is did you guys know that Guerrero was born in Montreal?
I'm not surprised by that because his dad was there.
My question would be, does he really like the Leafs better than the Habs? But we don't I'm just kidding with you. I
You're
think it's
stirring
great.
it, George. You're stirring the
I-
pot.
Yeah, you really are stirring the chores. Seriously? Really?
25 years old, born in Montreal. But
Well, I
no,
mean, it's okay there. I mean, now all you have to do is sick them in is get the Expos back, and nobody knows when that's going to happen if they get a stadium worth anything. Go ahead, Eichhorn.
yeah,
Really?
well,
Seriously?
seriously, Guerrero is the man. He's 25 years old, superstar. Wouldn't mind having him in another uniform, but
Yeah, I know.
I think that's great. I mean, and Trent was spot on. I mean, because Mr. Illich own both teams. Yeah, we did see that quite a bit in Detroit between the Tigers and the Red Wings. But I love to see that because guys supporting other teams or supporting their, like you said, Barber, that the teams in the city. I mean, they're same city, and that happens a lot. But I'm very happy to see that with Guerrero. That's a nice gesture by the Maple Leafs too.
Oh, it is. I mean, he's in the same town, the Blue Jays and
Yep.
the Leafs.
Toronto
And by the way, and
Raptors.
yeah, the Raptors too. By the way, congratulations to the the Toronto Argonauts for winning their 19th Grey Cup in the
Yeah.
history. The Toronto Argonauts
Yep.
ended up beating Winnipeg yesterday. I believe the score was 41-24. I actually watched the Grey Cup last night. It wasn't bad, but more power to them. A Leafs jersey with Guerrero on it to use it as an enticer to stay there. Doesn't get any better. One last topic before we go to parting shots, but I really like this one. This is really good. And as Vanessa Williams would say, I can't say the best will last. I'm very selective about what I want to talk about on this show. But this is one that if this doesn't make you feel good, then tell me what it takes to make you feel good. One of the best gestures in sports is what the Dodgers did before the season as they re-signed Andrew Toles for a 6th straight year. He hasn't played in a game since 2018. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. They've signed him every year so he can retain his health insurance treatment. Wow. That to me is absolutely strong. To sign a guy to get his medical insurance, it reminds me of the football player from Cincinnati. I'm drawing a blank. And his daughter, I'm sure one of you guys will come up with it, but
Defensive lineman. I can't think of his
I know.
name, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, that'll come to us. And Candy Ebley, knowing her, she'll probably research it.
Munoz?
start off- Who?
Munoz? Was it Munoz?
No.
No.
Anthony Munoz?
He's a more
No.
recent player over the last, say, 8 years.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's talk about Toles and the Dodgers. Great gesture, Mark.
Incredible gesture. I mean, honestly, fellas, it doesn't cost the Dodgers a penny to keep that guy on their roster and pay him some money and let him have the benefits of keeping himself going. Can you imagine if he didn't have that, what might have happened already with that guy? I mean, I see a ton of mental health stuff as a teacher as it is, and a lot of these kids don't have the support they need. So what do the school districts do? They open up places inside the schools. Well, this guy's getting a huge benefit by having that organization keep him under their wing, and really they're demonstrating to their community that they truly care about people. And as much as I don't agree with their tactic of winning a World Series, I totally tip my hat and admire the fact that they're taking care of people who need taken care of outside of baseball.
Yeah, let alone their own. I mean, the guy did play for him. And with all due respect, when I look at this situation, I think it's good. Go ahead, Candy. I knew she came up with it.
In 2014, the Cincinnati Bengals kept defensive lineman Devon Still on the
There you go.
practice squad so he could keep his insurance and support his daughter, Leah, who was battling pediatric cancer.
Thank you, Candy. I knew she would come up with it. So there you go. We don't have to worry about ever, it was on the top of my head and forgot it because we got old Candy researching it. So more power to what the Bengals did, but more power to what the Dodgers. Some thoughts, Trent?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, by the way, first I've ever heard of this, by the way, 6 years later. So this is quietly going on. Maybe the locals know it, but this is just a feel-good story that, by the way, happens all the time in pro sports. And I'm not saying all the time like this, but there are lots of great stories that people don't want credit. They're not looking for the fans to go, oh, you're such a great guy because you donate. The athletes have set up foundations. They've given tons of things back. And that's the one beautiful thing about sports is it really is a great fraternity that really wants to be engaged in the fans, give back. And I just think pretty class act. I don't expect much less from Magic. I expect him to kind of, lead that charge. He's always kind of led that with his heart a little bit on things. And so it's impressive that a big name franchise and a major sports, social media market, right, is doing right things. I mean, I think that's great. There's no wrong way to do the right thing.
I created 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. One of the biggest things I wanted to make sure that we worked on was making it a magazine style show. That means I'm not looking to just sit here, run through the scoreboard, give you highlights and everything that you can find. One of my mentors that's mentioned in my book, Lessons from the Microphone, always told me to be different and come up with things most people do. And that's one of the mindsets I have when I come up with topics that nobody's heard about. So you always know that when you leave our show, you've always been not only entertained, but you've learned and educated. Entertained and educated, that's what it's all about. And feel-good stories, I think, are important. Yes, Trevor Bauer was a feel-good story because of some of the things he had done. But by the same token, we still do believe that people get second chances. But when you book in a feel-good story and a guy looking for another chance, I think that magazine-style shows have always done well. If you don't believe me, just go ahead and watch 60 Minutes every night, 2020. Those are two of my favorite magazine-style shows where you're always having a reporter investigate something. You'll walk away, you'll learn, and that sort of thing. And that's why those shows continue to last during the test of time. So, George, go ahead.
Well, I don't have too much more to add. I mean, it is a very good gesture. And I know things like this, like you said, Trent, are probably going on behind the scenes. And a lot of them don't want any publicity about something like that. I mean, not to say it's bad publicity. It's good for the team and for the recipient. But, we had, of course, that terrible car wreck in Detroit with limousine wreck with Vladi Konstantinov and Sergei Monotsikhanov, the masseur. And I mean, those people faced with so much financial challenges and burdens about constant care 24/7, and not just athletes, but this happens in the real world as we all know. But anytime I hear something like this, man, this is a great story. And I really do applaud them as a team for doing so, because there's a lot of need out there and there's a lot of ways to just, be cold hearted and say, oh no, he's not on the team anymore. Or, well, I'm sorry, we can't help your daughter because we released you. I mean, but when you hear a story like this is real life and real good. You get a good feeling, and hopefully more of these kind of stories will come out if they want to be publicized.
And I'll tell you this, if I see them, they're coming on the air, period. I think we need a lot more of this positivity. And not only during the holidays and Thanksgiving, people. We need it all year round. You hear these things, Thanksgiving, no, I want it to be a 12-month situation. All right, so the reality is more power to the Dodgers for doing it. And pay them a couple grand, big deal. How much money you paying your superstars? But pay them a couple grand, get them a little health insurance, and you save them a lot of grief. Great stuff for the Dodgers. I'm glad, they won the World Series championship. But to me, this impresses me every bit as much as that championship does. But that said, we're going to go to parting shots. Mark, lead off.
My parting shot is going to go at George. Paul Skeens won Rookie of the Year today, National League. Paul Skeens is in the running for the Cy Young. I think Paul Skeens should get a shot at it before Chris Sale. He did some amazing things for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they wouldn't have been in the situation they were in terms of winning any games if Paul Skeens didn't come up and take control there. So Chris Sale had a hell of a team behind him. Keep that in mind.
Okay, good. Okay, Trent, you're next.
Yeah, for me, I love the positive story. I think that my parting shot is that sports have so much positive impact that we talk about a bunch of things and negative comes out the stories for the news because, you know, we like dirty laundry for one, but you know, when the reality is that there's so much positive, it's the negative sticks out because it's just a 2 or 3%. Most things are really good stories about it. And, you know, I think every kid who's ever stopped me wants to try on one of my rings, wants to, you know, get a picture. They all tell the same story about, man, the impact of their first time walking into the arena, into the ballpark, seeing an athlete up close and going, holy cow, these are mountain men. They're bigger than life people. They're impacted that for the rest of their life, and they're standing with their hero, their father or their mother, and it's just created massive impact, and it's generational, and it's incredible, and I don't ever want to lose sight of that. And as just a fan of the game and being involved in the game so long.
Great stuff, Trent. Go ahead, George.
Well, mine is just going to be going over to the sport of football. And obviously, we know about Detroit and the Lions, how they become America's darling, and they proved it again yesterday. So the thing is that the bandwagon is full. We've all heard that in sports so many times, but it's so true. When you are winning and you are excelling like you are, it's easy to bring in all the fans. You know, what do they say? Fans that were sitting on the fence or fans that were down. So it is exciting to be in this city. And again, it's just a tremendous opportunity for the Lions to obviously show what they're worth. And they've certainly done a great job, led by, of course, a great GM and a great coach and a great owner, Mrs. Ford Hemp. You know, the younger, one of the daughters of course, of William Clay and Martha Ford has took over the team, and she's done a great job. She really has. And I know there's been other women in pro football that have done great jobs too over the years, including the Bears and, you know, McCaskill. And of course we had what was her name? Frontera?
Georgia Frontiere.
St. Louis Rams. Yeah. At the time, but no, it's fun to be part of this in a city. And obviously we're not doing well in college football. We're not even going to talk about that, but Detroit is the center of the pro football universe right now.
Okay. My parting shot has a lot to do with this hoodie. Give yourself the Bulls. Really not a party shot of any kind. I want to wish a congratulations for your South Florida head baseball coach Eddie Cardieri for making it to the University of South Florida Hall of Fame. More power to you, Coach. And
Go, Eddie.
Yeah, I talk to him every once in a while, but I'm going to get back in touch with him. But this guy did some unbelievable things. You want to know how good of a reign that he had over at USF? Google Eddie Cardieri. He gets his respect. He's in the University of South Florida Hall of Fame. Actually, when I started working with Peter Ween, Coach Eddie Cardieri was one of my first guest ever on Peter's platform. Of course, I bring him on here once in a while. I'm going to get him back on hopefully one of these days. And I spent some time with him out in Tampa when they were talking about American Legion baseball. And you won't find a nicer guy than Coach Eddie Cardieri. You know, I have a lot of I'm very fortunate on this platform that I have some of the best people that to me are family. And that's what this. Every show I feel like I have family on here. Tonight it's you, Mark, Trent, George, and when Eric's on the same way. Inside the pigskin, same animal. Okay, you got Mel Farr Jr., John Bonamago, Travis Holmes, Steve Ballesteri, Mel Farr Jr. I hope I'm not missing anyone. Bo Crouch, thank you.
Yep.
And Jeremy Ballrick when he comes on, and Candy does an unbelievable job. So I feel that's the most important thing. You want to be around family because we all know that we feel like there's a blend that we're able to work together for the same things and do what we have to try to do. But keeping it real here. Congratulations, Coach Eddie Cardieri. I look forward to eventually talking to you when the situation presents itself. It's an honor to be able to go into a collegiate Hall of Fame, let alone one that you work for, because then you're part of it. Just like I'm a proud graduate of the University of South Florida. No matter whatever happens, when I'm alive or deceased, I'll always consider myself a USF Bull because I'm proud of it. And that's a place where anybody that's gone to college, George, whether it's you with Wayne State, Trent, I guess you Toledo Rockets, right?
I played against Eddie's teams in 92, 93, 94, I think.
Oh, did you? Yeah. So there you go. So
Yeah.
anytime you feel like you belong somewhere, to me, that's important. And Eddie did a really great job. So,
He had just taken over. I think he took over in 91.
yeah, in fact, Robin Roberts, a longtime Philadelphia Philly, preceded him. And we all know Robin Roberts did a pretty good job. So you're connected any place by choice that you went to, then there's that really good feeling. I don't know. Mark, I don't know if you went to college or wherever you're good. Well, you had to if you're a teacher, right? So
Yeah, I have 3 degrees, my friend.
look at that. So he's
I
been
have-
in 3 places.
I have 3 degrees.
Yeah, there you go. Well, they're serving you well. So meanwhile, that does it for this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Before we go, Candy Ebling's going to take it from here, and then everybody's going to let everybody know how they get a hold of us. Good participation in the chat room, Barry. All your comments were really timely, and they were appreciated. So, Candy, take us home.
You are listening to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. If you see that red subscribe button, hit it, like us, share us with all your friends and family. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange and Thursday nights on Fire Up. Tune in to see what we're going to be talking about next. You just never know. On Thursday nights on Fire Up Florida, we talk hockey. On Wednesday nights, we also talk on nofilter.net. It's the Motor City Mad Mouse Show with Scott, Jeremy, and George. Tune in to find out what we're going to be talking about. We also have a podcast. So wherever you get your podcast, if you'd rather just listen, go and listen to us wherever you like to. We have a website, www.southfloridatribune.com. There is a link to a book that Scott, your host, wrote. It's called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Apple, and Google Books. It's a great gift idea. It talks about how old school media has changed into new school media, how over Scott's 40 plus years in the industry, how the industry has changed. Do you like it or don't you? You have to read the book to find out more. And George wrote the foreword. There is a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. There is also a plethora of all kinds of other articles, interesting articles that George wrote, Scott wrote. I've taken pictures. Go check it out. If you want to be a guest on one of our shows or have some ideas, please email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise or sponsor one of our shows, call Scott 954-304-4941. But most importantly, all of these panelists are on our show. They give us their time, so go buy their book if they wrote a book. Go to watch one of their programs, their shows, subscribe to their channels. Please do so. We have a great slew of contributors. Back to you, Scott.
Thank you, Candy. Well done. All right, Mark.
Well, let me start off with I did not write a book like these other 3 guys, so I'm not quite to their level from my perspective. However, the Original Sports Podcast with Mark Meriday and the Barbershop Crew is on every possible podcast place you can find us. We shoot our shows on Tuesday night. We drop them on Thursday, audio and video, boatload of places. So we love it when you guys jump in and listen to us and chime in. A bunch of your guys who came in here today were on with us last week, and we had a good time talking with them too there. So you can find us at OSP with MM or Original Sports Podcast.
Great stuff, Mark. And we enjoy having you in the baseball show every now and then on the hockey show. I like lots of people if they can get on 1 or 2 different shows so that they can market themselves. Okay, Trent, go ahead.
First of all, Mark the Barber, I'm trying to understand the Barber Meriday because how did we not get Mayday Meriday out of that, cool little deal? Because of the tight lid? Is that right?
That's exactly what it is, baby. I have to cut my hair every 2 days.
All
every
right.
2 days.
The bar. I love
Got to
it.
keep it shining.
All right. I am Trent Fogg. Wrote a book called Leading Winning Teams, How Teamwork, Motivation, and Strategy Achieve Big League Success. Based on my 13 years in professional baseball, coaching in 3 World Series, played 2 sports at the Division I level, learned that there's a lot of lessons from sports that transfer into leadership and running organizations. And you're going to find all my lessons in there. Got tons of quoting in there from all guests that we've had on Winners Find a Way, our top 2% rated podcast with over 100,000 downloads a month. You got to check out the show. We get some world beaters on there. It's a bunch of fun talking about the 1%, talking about what they've had to overcome to get where they're going, the grind of it all. Because, hey, if anything you want in this life, it's earned, never given. So come on, join us on the Winners Find a Way show. We'd love to have you. Find me on leadershipity.com. That's my main site. That's where we do all our coaching from. Coach Trent. You can always find me at trent@leadershipity.com. And I'm on all those socials, either Trent M. Clark or Leadershipity. Thanks so much. Always fun to be with you guys.
Always fun to have you. Also, I remember you had a guest named Lauren Sizzler. I met her over at National Sports Media Association. Really nice young lady.
Lauren's sister just wrote a great book, Shatterproof. A little shout out to Lauren, talking about recovering as a college gymnast at Rutgers when both of her parents OD'd on the medication. What's everybody die from? What's the meds that it's got everybody?
Oh,
yeah. What's the
Fentanyl?
yeah, everyone's getting
Are you
Narcan.
talking
Was it?
fentanyl?
Yeah. Well,
No.
yeah. It was.
Well,
No. It's,
Well, the reality is I pay attention to what you're doing, and that's why I brought it up. In the
yeah.
first place.
It's a great story. Shatterproof. Check it out.
I pay attention to everybody, what they do here. That's
Yeah.
what we all do. We all pay attention. All right,
Morphine.
No.
No, it's
No.
not morphine. Okay.
Oxycontin.
Yeah, it's Oxy. It's Oxy.
Okay.
Oxy OD. And yeah, it was what everybody's getting addicted to. Never would have expected it. And for people who don't know, Lauren's sister's a sideline reporter for ESPN. She's fabulous, and you can find her every Saturday on covering a big game.
Yeah, I met her in North Carolina. She's a really nice woman. I belong to National Sports Media Association is what I do. And every now and then when I could get up to North Carolina for their awards thing, I do. Everything depends year in, year out. George, you're last. Go ahead.
Yeah, last but not least, I've known Scott for over 40 years. In fact, Scott is in this book that I wrote many, many years ago, but it's still got fresh meaning and content covering the history of Detroit sports broadcasters on the air. And you can obtain it from Amazon is the quickest way to get it. It's not in the bookstores anymore because of it's several years old. But anyways, there's a link to that book on the end of my column when I write for the South Florida Tribune. Drill down to the Motor City Tribune and you'll find my columns in there, as well as being on this show is a lot of fun. I really enjoy being with you guys, 108 Stitches, and as Candy mentioned, the Wednesday shows as well. I have to admit, though, I'm going to miss you guys, Scott, on Wednesday, but I'll be there in spirit. So I know you guys will do a great job on your shows on Wednesday night. You can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com. Also, I'm on LinkedIn, and you can get me on Twitter at X, SandGSports99. And again, great being with all of you today, and thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Again, this is a crew plus Eric Katz when he gets on. Enjoy it. I'll be adding more baseball people in 2025. I want to just make sure that we're able. It just so happened that I expanded this crew here right when we got into the World Series a little bit before. So obviously we had to focus on that and want to keep continuity for what it is. But meanwhile, great crew. So to close this bad boy out, I want to thank everybody for joining us. On behalf of the barber, Mark Meriday, Trent Clark, George Eichhorn, my name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. And we will catch you next Monday night. We're going to loaded show. We're going to have 2 or 3 of the bigger topics on there, and we're hoping to have 5 people on there. And we'll keep you posted about what we're going to do during the holidays. Everybody will take a little bit of a break, and we'll only broadcast if there's something significant on there so we can enjoy our families and get refreshed for 2025. So once again, on behalf of my crew in the chat room and Candy Ebling as well behind the scenes, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next Monday night. Have a great week, everybody.